All right, we are back. Another edition of Cigar and a Beverage here on Facebook Live under my Facebook profile. Good evening, everybody. And once again, you can Venmo me at Paul-Wonder-1. All proceeds will go directly back into the broadcast. Also, too, as a reminder, I'm also on TikTok at Cigar Bev Nola. That's at Cigar Bev Nola on TikTok. No cigar tonight, but I do have my beverage, and I'm drinking another beer, a Summer Shandy by Leinenkugels. It's really good beer. If you like that lemon flavor, it's a really good one. One of my favorites. College football in full swing here. Officially, week 1 started yesterday. Had a great football game up at Pittsburgh in the backyard brawl between number 17 Pitt and West Virginia. Heartbreaking loss for West Virginia. I mean, just a total heartbreaker for the Mountaineers. Tied at 31. JT Daniels throws a pass out to his sure-handed receiver, goes through his hands, and then returned all the way back for a touchdown to give Pitt the lead late in the fourth. And then it came down to one last play on fourth and 16, I believe it was, and it looked like that the receiver made a catch down at the 1-yard line. But after review, it had he lost control of the ball. And that was it. That was all she wrote. And the referees made a great call, made the right call in that respect. Unfortunately, it didn't go West Virginia's way. So Pitt ended up winning that football game. And how about this? Here's one for you. The 2 quarterbacks involved in that backyard brawl last night, both USC transfers at one point or another. JT Daniels for West Virginia, 23 of 40, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns in the pick. It was the costly one. Keaton Slovis for Pittsburgh, 16 of 24, 308, 1 touchdown, QBR of 71.9. CJ Donaldson was your sure-handed receiver for JT Daniels, and it went right through his hands there late in the game. Unbelievable atmosphere. Over 70,000 people in Pittsburgh to see that one. An unbelievable football game is what that was. MJ Devonshire with the game winner. Not really a walk-off, but it ended up being the game winner. Pick 6 all the way for the score. Another great football game that happened last night was in West Lafayette, Indiana, where Penn State and Purdue went at it, and Purdue was up 28-24. They were down 21-10 at the half. They came back, took a 28-24 lead, and blew it. Seemingly just blew it. Penn State came back on a final drive and won it. Well, Purdue was actually up also. I'm sorry. Let me say this. Purdue was up 31-28. 31-28, so I stand corrected. And Penn State, on a drive by quarterback Sean Clifford, who went 20 for 37 for 282 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception. He led one of the most amazing 2-minute drills that I've seen in seemingly forever. Retook the lead against Purdue. Okay? And Manny Diaz's defense came through in the clutch. Shut Purdue down with less than a minute to go. Purdue had one final opportunity, and it didn't happen for them. So that's all she wrote. Now, look, give credit to Aiden O'Connell, the Purdue quarterback, 29 of 58, 356, one touchdown. All right, but a lot of what Purdue did as far as scoring, there was also a pick six in that one. That was a pick six that gave Purdue the 31-28 lead. They were down 28-24, if I'm not mistaken. And then a pick six gave them the lead. They had an opportunity to put the game away, and they couldn't do it. And then that's what allowed Penn State to go on that last drive and seemingly snatch the game away from Purdue. Two great football games last night. And if this season, and if it's going to be any indication of what we're going to see for the rest of week one, I'm in for the ride. Because, man, two great football games played there. We had big college football news come out earlier today, but I'll get to that in a minute. Meanwhile, going on right now, let me turn this down. We have a couple of games involving Big Ten teams right now. I've got it here. I've got a 32-inch TV. You can't see it. It's just off camera right here to my right. A 32-inch TV right here that is playing right now Michigan State and Western Michigan. And right now, Michigan State is up 21-3 early third quarter. Michigan State have high expectations this year in the Big Ten. Ranked number 15 in the country right now, Western Michigan faces 2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line, and that's going to be an incomplete pass there. So that's their own 28-yard line, so that'll be third down coming up. 21-3, Michigan State leading, and right now, quarterback Thorne for the Spartans, 9 of 17, 154 yards, 3 touchdowns. That one going on right now. Let's see, what else is going on around the country? Okay, just starting in the third quarter, Eastern Michigan and Eastern Kentucky going at it. Eastern Michigan up 14-10. If anybody cares about that one. Let's see. Interesting score, interesting thing happening right now. Virginia Tech, and my eyes are going all over the place, so forgive me for that. Virginia Tech trailing right now at halftime against Old Dominion 10-7. Take a look at the box score in that game right now. Grant Wells, the Virginia Tech quarterback's already thrown 2 interceptions in this one. Virginia Tech has Virginia Tech's defense has held Old Dominion to 84 yards total. But the 2 turnovers by the Hokies is what's keeping the Monarchs in this one. Okay? That's what's keeping Old Dominion in this football game, or the two interceptions that were thrown by Grant Wells. That game is, I believe, on the ACC network if anybody wants to tune in to that one while you're listening to my program. Just thought I should throw that one out there. Let's see what else. Charlotte and William and Mary tied at 17. William Mary has the ball, 13:22 to go third quarter. Halftime in Durham, North Carolina, the Duke Blue Devils over Temple, 24-0. Kansas, the Jayhawks lead Tennessee Tech 21-3, 6:47 to go in the second quarter. Bloomington, Indiana, this is a Big Ten conference matchup between Indiana and Illinois. The Fighting Illini lead 7-3. Illinois won last week. Against Wyoming, 38-6. Chase Brown scoring 3 touchdowns against Wyoming. Tommy DeVito completing 27 to 37 passes for 192 and 2 scores. Illinois made that one look easy. They're in a fight right now in Bloomington as they lead only 7-3 as they are still in the second quarter in Bloomington. And then 9 o'clock tonight, that's a 9 o'clock Central Time kickoff. Sonny Dykes debuts as the new head coach for the Horned Frogs, taking over for Gary Peterson, who was at TCU for 21 seasons. So for the first time in 21 years, we're going to see a new head coach on the sidelines for the Horned Frogs. They travel to Boulder to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Right now, currently, it is 83 degrees in Boulder. Man, what I would do for it to be 83 degrees right now in southeast Louisiana, and that's daytime temperature. I'm not talking about at night, because that nighttime temperature is going to continue to fall in Colorado, and the humidity is not as bad. Meanwhile, it just looked like Western Michigan would have come up with an interception, but they get called for pass interference, and I think that was the right call. Oh, yeah, he was all over him. Defender was all over him. Gave him a little shove, too. I'll call that all day. So that's what we see here tonight around the world of college football. But the big story in college football, and I'll be giving score updates as we go, but the big story in college football is that the College Football Playoff Committee has agreed to expand the College Football Playoff to 12 teams, and it could be implemented as soon as 2024, but no later than 2026. The board's 11 presidents and chancellors approved the original 12-team model, which was first made public last summer, and includes the 6 highest-ranked conference champions and 6 at-large teams. The 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame athletic director Jack Swarbrick will meet next Thursday in Irving, Texas, to begin discussions on possibly implementing the format as early as 2024. The rankings of the teams will continue to be determined by the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, which will remain largely unchanged. The 4 highest-ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4, with each receiving a first-round bye. Teams that are seeded 5 through 12 will play each other in the first round on either the second or third weekend of December. Quarterfinals and semifinals will be played in bowl games on a rotating basis, and the championship game will be at a neutral site as under the current 4-team format. The 12-team model was originally put together by Greg Sankey, Jack Swarbrick, Mountain West Commissioner Craig Thompson, and former Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby. It was floated publicly in June of 2021, but got bogged down by conference politics. In February, the College Football Playoff announced it would not be expanding in the current contract, which expires after the 2025 season. The major holdup had been specific objections from the ACC, Big Ten, and Pac-12, but after the thunderbolt of realignment this summer with USC and UCLA committing to the Big Ten, and that conference signing a historic television deal, $7 billion, by the way, a $7 billion TV deal for the Big Ten. Big Ten's going to go over to CBS. CBS dropped the SEC after the SEC and CBS could not come to an agreement. So the SEC has renegotiated their TV rights deal between ABC and ESPN, and they're primarily going to be the SEC is primarily going to be on a Disney network, while the Big Ten is going to be on ESPN, Fox, and CBS, and some Big Ten games are going to be broadcast on Peacock, along with Notre Dame games. $7 billion are going to be going into the Big Ten as early as, I believe, 2023, or I believe as early as next season in 2023. But if there was any conference that would not object to a possible expansion to the college football playoff system, you would have thought it would be the Pac-12. But at first, the Pac-12 was like, no. But the Pac-12 doesn't have I think in the history of the entire college football playoff, I think the Pac-12 has only had a representative twice. Twice in this entire thing. Twice. Let's see here. Get another thing out here. You should see my setup here. I got a laptop here. I got my desktop right here that I'm using to run the broadcast. I got an iPad right here. And I want to see your comments. Here we go. Let's see. Oh. I have done this entire I've done 21 minutes. Jeez. I've done 21 minutes on this program. And I wasn't broadcasting on Facebook or anything. So what I'm going to do is the first 21 minute, I'm going to post this entire video on my Facebook page. The first 21 minutes of the program you could go back and watch. But again, so for those that are just joining us, college football playoff is going to expand to 12 teams starting no later than 2026, but as soon as 2024. That was obviously the big news of the day. Top four teams are going to get a bye, where the rest of the field is going to play first round games and then go from there. Let's do a score update, and then we'll get back to this story here. Let's do a college football scoreboard update here. All games that are going on in progress right now. 9:23 to go. Third quarter of play. Western Michigan has the ball, down 21-3 against Michigan State. Eastern Kentucky on the road against Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan leads 21-10. That game, 11 and a half minutes to go, third quarter. a score that has really surprised me, may not have surprised you depending on who you are. Old Dominion leading Virginia Tech 10-7. Hokies have the ball, 13:22 to go third quarter. 11:04 to go third quarter. Charlotte and William and Mary are tied at 17. Duke continues to lead Temple 24-0 here at the half, and in Boulder. Oh, I'm sorry. 2 more games currently still in progress. 3:23 to go second quarter. Kansas leads Tennessee Tech 28-3. Tennessee Tech has the ball 3rd and 17 at their own 18-yard line. Illinois has the ball, 9:14 to go second quarter, down 10-7 to Indiana. That game in Bloomington. The Illini are about to face 2nd down and 3 at the Indiana 26. So Illinois is driving, and at 9 o'clock, roughly 45 minutes from now, kickoff will happen in Boulder, Colorado, as TCU travels to face the Colorado Buffaloes in that one. All right. Again, the first 21 minutes of this program was not streamed, and that's on me as a bad producer, director, technician, whatever you want to call me at this point. All right, so I'm going to go back and post this entire show on my Facebook page with the first 21 minutes included. Looks like Western Michigan might have just scored. Yep, they did. They're trying to cut into the Michigan State lead. It is now 21-10, 8:20 to go third quarter in East Lansing. So, again, back to the big story of the day in college football. The College Football Playoff Board of Directors has decided to expand the format to 12 teams starting no later than 2026, but as early as 2024. So that is going to be a great deal. And we'll see what happens with that playoff. Now, you know, it'll be interesting to see who gets in. Now, if you were to go by the rankings from last year, the teams that would have gotten in, and I think there was a tweet about this. Let's see. Trying to find the tweet. And I can't find it at this point. But if you look at the rankings from last year, Baylor would have gotten in, Ole Miss would have gotten in, Oklahoma State would have gotten in. Teams like that, Notre Dame, I believe, would have gotten in to the playoff if the 12-team playoff was implemented last season, hypothetically. So, now let's focus on tomorrow, because tomorrow is the first full Saturday of college football, and it's going to be awesome. because it's here now. It's here, and there's a lot of anticipation. But before I do that, let's go over some scores from last night. Tennessee is starting the season unranked. The Tennessee Volunteers, high expectations for Tennessee this year. Over Ball State, 59-10. That one wasn't even close from start to finish. Big win there for Tennessee. John Rice Plumlee, the Ole Miss transfer, getting the start at Central Florida. They took on South Carolina State. All John Rice Plumlee did was go 20 of 31 for 308 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also carried the ball 15 times for another 86 yards and 1 touchdown. He accounted for 394 yards of total offense, including 5 touchdowns. UCF winners 56-10. Florida International getting a last-second win, a 1-point win in overtime against Bryant, 38-37. Penn State a winner, 35-31, in a big Big Ten conference matchup in West Lafayette against Purdue. The backyard brawl produced probably one of the better games of college football in the last couple of seasons. It was Pitt winning that one 38-31, thanks in part to a pick six by MJ Devonshire. UAB getting a win 59-0. Missouri all over Louisiana Tech 52-24. Minnesota getting the win 38-0 over New Mexico State. And that's where we'll stop it. Stop the score update from here. Now, tomorrow, we start. Look, let's start this off here. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Oxford, Mississippi. The number 21 ranked Ole Miss Rebels will host Troy. Ole Miss is a 21.5-point favorite with the over/under being 57. I would bet the over in the Ole Miss Troy game. The importance of this football game. Couple of storylines here. How's that Ole Miss defense going to look with the new defensive coordinator? But the defensive coordinator, Chris Partridge, was a co-defensive coordinator last year. He's elevated to be the DC this year after DJ Durkin leaves to go to Texas A&M. So we'll see how that goes for that defense. And then the new offensive coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., taking over for Jeff Levy, who went to Oklahoma. He's going to run a new offense, but who's going to take the first snaps for Ole Miss in this football game? Is it going to be the USC transfer Jackson Dart, or is it going to be Luke Altmaier, who's a sophomore, redshirt sophomore for Ole Miss? He got playing time in the Sugar Bowl last year after Matt Corral went down with the injury. So a couple questions there. A lot of those questions will be answered tomorrow at 3 o'clock at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford. Speaking of Texas A&M, they start the season at 11 o'clock on the SEC Network against Sam Houston. Michigan will host Colorado State in Ann Arbor. North Carolina State will start the season ranked number 13, and they'll have to go over to Greenville, North Carolina to take on the Pirates of East Carolina. Let's see. Other games that are going to be played, I'm looking for, here we go, 2:30 p.m. ABC, Georgia and Oregon. Georgia and Oregon going to do battle in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I got a comment here. Oh, I got a friend that's blocked. How does that happen? Okay, hold on. Let's see how. Hold on. So let's see. Pretty sure Georgia will be national champions again this year. That's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one to call, but they will. But the Bulldogs will begin defense of their national championship against the Oregon Ducks. 3 versus 11, 2:30 ABC from from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The Brent Venables era in Norman starts tomorrow. Sooners take on UTEP. The Mario Cristobal era in Miami starts tomorrow as they take on Bethune-Cookman. Matchup of 2 top 25 teams, Arkansas and Cincinnati. Arkansas is a 6.5-point favorite with the over-under being 53.5. Luke Fickell taking his team down to Fayetteville. Let's see. Here's one. Nebraska is going to host North Dakota, and Nebraska, with Scott Frost as head coach, it's going to be an interesting year now for Nebraska. After hold on. Okay, let's do this. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, we will continue with the program. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We're on for a while. This is Cigar and a Beverage. All right, we're back. Cigar to Beverage continues on. It is 8:30 p.m. on a Friday night. We've got college football going on right now. Lots of enthusiasm with that. Let's see. Once again, if anybody cares to, you can always click the link on this program. You can always click the link and on this show and join in on the conversation. Just click the link above. Join in. We'll talk college football. We'll talk sports. This is what we do. This is what I do with a beer in my hand. Sunday, LSU, Florida State. Monday night, Clemson, Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Lots of good football games on the docket this weekend, Labor Day weekend. And Labor Day weekend always seems to produce good college football. Virginia Tech and Old Dominion are now tied at 10. Virginia Tech, this would be a bad loss for Virginia Tech. And Virginia Tech has just had issues, for the last few years. The Justin Fuentes era did not exactly go as planned. Frank Beamer's not at Virginia Tech anymore, and he's not walking through those doors anytime soon. So, let's see where we go from here. This isn't going to be Virginia Tech from 15 years ago. It's just not. They'll play Enter Sandman until the day turns to night, but unless they put a decent product on the football field, you may not see anything good from Virginia Tech for a little while. So let's see where Virginia Tech goes from here. Right now they're tied at 10 against Old Dominion. So let's switch gears now. Other stories going around in the world of sports. South Carolina. Here's an interesting story out of Columbia, South Carolina. The women's basketball team and Dawn Staley has canceled a home-and-home contract with BYU because of a racial incident at a volleyball game. So here's the story. South Carolina and women's basketball coach Dawn Staley have canceled a home-and-home series with BYU over a recent incident where a Duke volleyball player said a BYU fan yelled racial slurs at her. The Gamecocks were scheduled to start the season at home against BYU on November the 7th, then play at the Utah campus during the 2023-2024 season. But Staley cited BYU's home volleyball match last month as reason for calling off the series. Duke sophomore Rachel Richardson, a black member of the school's volleyball team, said she heard racial slurs from the stands during the match. BYU has apologized for the incident, and Richardson said the school's volleyball players reached out to her in support. South Carolina said it was searching for another home opponent to start the season. South Carolina Athletic Director Ray Tanner spoke with Staley about the series and supported the decision to call off the games. All right, so here's the deal. This is something that should have never happened. And for this to happen is, for lack of a better term, bullshit. Sorry. Bullshit. No room for that anywhere. I don't care I don't care what university. I don't care where. There's no room for that. And for that to happen to a young lady that all she's doing is playing and representing her university to the best of her ability in a volleyball match, she doesn't need to be hearing that. She does not need to be hearing that. It's appalling, and it's ridiculous. Okay, so let's see what else is going on. All right. Looking at Bulldogs 35-17 over Oregon. Well, here's the interesting thing about this. Let's go to, all right, so I've got some commenters saying, okay, what about Georgia, Oregon? Okay, so let's talk about Georgia, Oregon. But before I do, let me finish on this about this story here with BYU, South Carolina. South Carolina well within their right to do what they just did. It's a good, it sends a message that this isn't going to be tolerated. It shouldn't be tolerated. And shame on BYU. And I hope that this gets addressed ASAP, because there's no room for this in athletics, period. I don't care if it's professional athletics, college athletics, doesn't matter. There's no room for this, period. Okay. Georgia and Oregon. The storyline here is Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning, the new head coach at Oregon, taking over for Mario Cristobal, who goes to Miami. Dan Lanning was on the Georgia staff last season. So this is going to be an interesting football game just based on that storyline right there. Just based on that storyline right there is what's going to make this ball game interesting. Now, Georgia's a heavy favorite, and I don't expect Georgia to lose this football game. 35-17 is a reasonable prediction there. Not out of the realm of possibility. Okay? Just not. But 91.5% of America is picking Georgia to win this football game. And Georgia is a 16.5-point favorite against Oregon. Now, if Oregon pulls off the upset, it's plus 550, over under 54. I'm leaning towards the over. Just saying it. I'm leaning towards the over. Anybody want to come on here or come on this show and join in on the Zoom conversation? More than happy to welcome you in. All right, no need to call in. Just click the link there and watch. But again, 16.5-point favorite for the Georgia Bulldogs. The Mean Machine in red and black taking on the Oregon Ducks. 16.5-point favorite for Georgia. And we're going to get our look at how, look, Stetson Bennett was great last year. Lots of questions about him being the guy. This is a guy. This is Stetson Bennett is going to get the start tomorrow afternoon against Oregon. Let's see how good he is. Then, look, how can I forget this one? I'm sorry. How can I forget this football game? Tomorrow night, Columbus, Ohio, Notre Dame, and Ohio State. Notre Dame is a 17-point underdog in Columbus. New football coach Marcus Freeman taking over for Brian Kelly, who's at LSU. Lots of question marks for Notre Dame. While C.J. Stroud will be under center for Ohio State. Ohio State looking to be once again in that national title picture to try to get into the playoff. It's going to be an interesting football game there in Columbus. So big football games coming up this weekend. Ole Miss and Troy at 3 o'clock. I'm looking forward to watching my Rebels tomorrow. See who's going to get, first of all, who's going to get the start at quarterback. Who's going to get the start at quarterback? All right, so let's go to Sunday. LSU, Florida State. I have a feeling it's going to be Jayden Daniels at quarterback for LSU against Florida State, who won last week against Duquesne. Meanwhile, I'm watching here, Virginia Tech has taken the lead against Old Dominion, 17-10, 4:23 to go third quarter. Okay, so Virginia Tech starting to get that engine going a little bit now, so let's see if they can keep it up. But again, going back to Florida State and LSU in the Superdome on Sunday night, 6:30 kickoff in New Orleans. Presented by the Sugar Bowl. It's the All-State Louisiana kickoff between LSU and Florida State. New look Tigers all the way around. Brian Kelly, new head coach, trying to bring stability and discipline and consistency to Baton Rouge after they were seemingly unorganized the last 2 years. They're at LSU. Mike Norvell is coaching for his job this year. I would venture to say that Mike Norvell is on the hot seat, and they got to be successful. And if they somehow find a way to beat LSU on Sunday, it's going to go a long way. And look, LSU's starting the season unranked, but it's still LSU. There's still this aura. There's still this reputation that LSU has. If Mike Norvell finds a way to win this football game on Sunday against the Tigers, it'll go a long, long way with him to keep his job. It'll go a very long way with him keeping his job. And I look forward to this matchup. LSU's a 3.5-point favorite, but I'm leaning towards the Tigers to cover that. The over-under on that game hold on. The over-under on that game is how am I not seeing an SEC schedule? Are you kidding me? Okay, here we go. The over-under on that game on Sunday night is 50. With LSU as a 3-point favorite, 72.5% of America picking LSU to beat Florida State. Look, LSU, very, very talented. Brian Kelly had to use the transfer portal to fill in. He had no choice but to fill in spots. But he is steadily building a recruiting class that is rivaling any one of the top 5 classes for the 2023 cycle. Okay? This is a big football game for both of these programs and could go a long, long way in how their season is going to go down. Florida State beat Duquesne last week 47-7. This will be LSU's first game of the year. So there are arguments where, okay, this is going to be LSU's advantage because there's already game film on Florida State to look at. Florida State's going to say, well, they have the advantage because they're already in game shape. They've already got one game under their belt. They're not playing Duquesne, though. They're playing LSU. LSU's going to come ready to play with something to prove. They're going to hit. They're going to hit hard, and they're going to want to start fast. Again, I believe Jaden Daniels is going to be the starter on Sunday night. But if it is Garrett Nussmeier, I feel that LSU is going to open up that playbook, and they're going to make things happen. They're going to want to make things happen. They're going to want to make a statement. They're going to want to start out fast and take control early. The ironic thing with this one is that Brian Kelly, for the second year in a row on Labor Day weekend, is going to start the football season against Florida State. He took Notre Dame down to Tallahassee last season and started that season against the Seminoles. He's got to do it again, this time with a different ball club. We'll see what happens. LSU trying to avenge a 6-7 season from last year. Last two seasons since winning the national championship in 2019, LSU is 11-12. That's not LSU football. That's not who LSU is. We're used to seeing LSU winning 8, 9, 10 games a year. No, they're 11-12 in their last two seasons since going 15-0 and winning a national championship in 2019. But Brian Kelly is steadily building a program at LSU through recruiting, and he's recruiting very, very well. And I would venture to say that this LSU football program within the next 3 years is going to be a very dangerous football program. Very dangerous. And I say that wearing an Ole Miss shirt. I say that as an Ole Miss alum. I say that as an Ole Miss fan. Yes, LSU is going to be a very dangerous football program within 3 years. And you can already see it on the recruiting trail. They're going to rival Alabama even more so now than they did the last couple seasons. Look out. Look out. It is Brian Kelly's goal to compete with Nick Saban each and every year through recruiting and on the field. And that's what he's going to do. And that's what he's doing. They said when he came in that he can't recruit. Here's the problem. Or here was the problem. He had recruiting restrictions academically at Notre Dame. Notre Dame had academic restrictions. They don't have those academic restrictions at LSU. They don't exist at LSU. It's a public university. They'll let anybody in. And I don't say that in a negative way. I don't say that to be negative. Notre Dame being a private university, they have a selection process. And they adhere to that selection process, and it's wrapped up in academic standards. And that goes for athletics as well. And how Brian Kelly was able to win 50-plus games in the last 5 seasons with players that have had with players that were brought in even with those academic restrictions is incredible. And it just goes to show you how successful of a football coach this man really is. And now that there are no academic restrictions on any athlete at LSU, look out. Look out. Watch, within 3 years, they're going to be back in the college football playoff, and they're going to be back trying to win another national championship. I'm calling it now, and I know I'm not the only one that is calling it. It's probably going to happen, and if you want to put money on it, I don't know what the odds are. LSU's going to scare people this year, too. They may not go 10-2, 11-1. They're not going to go undefeated. But I'll tell you this. This is an 8-4, 9-3 football team, and 9-3 is the ceiling. And it's going to be a surprising 9-3, and they're going to make noise doing it, and they're going to let the country know, hey, LSU is coming back. telling you that's what's going to happen. Okay. So, with that being said, another great episode of Cigar and a Beverage. Again, the first 21 minutes of this broadcast was not streamed on Facebook Live. Just not streamed. My mistake. Okay? So, we're going to post that video here within the next hour or so. We're going to post it on our Facebook page, and we're also going to begin to repost some of the past episodes on the YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and watch any of the older videos, you can always go to YouTube to watch. So with that being said, again, I thank you for joining me here tonight. Thank you to my people, my fans that or my followers rather, that have commented tonight to talk about, hey, of all things, Georgia and Oregon. Meanwhile, fourth quarter, East Lansing, Michigan, 21-13, Michigan State leads. All right. So, with that being said, grab your favorite cigar, grab your favorite beverage, sit back, relax, enjoy the program, and as always, you can always join me. And now that I'm using Zoom as part of my broadcasting platform, you can always click the link, join in. You don't have to be invited, just pop in. Do the pop in. Use the pop in. I love a pop in. Great pop in. All right. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one. Enjoy college football in this weekend. And if you're going to bet money on any of the games this weekend, do it smartly. Do it responsibly. Don't bet the house. See you guys later. Thanks.